Okay, so we're going to be a guest today with the Toronto Club. It's my first time playing a lot of these opponents, so we'll see how it goes. First play here is, I think, going to be fairly clear. Probably just going to do some kind of placement. I think it takes an S, so I don't know if I want to go there necessarily. This is not too bad. 32 dangling to V like that? Yeah, sure, let's do it. Okay, drawing the Q with the U together is going to be quite helpful. Lots of things we can do. But we'll just have to wait and see where we're going to drop that. Yeah, currently, let's get the drawing tool up and running. I mean, not necessarily counting on that lane to stay open, but that's the sort of thing we'll be looking at. There's also Fique, F-I-Q-U-E. And we'll see how that goes. Really do have to just wait for the next play first of all, though, and I certainly think this is good. I should know all my J5s pretty well by now. Also, I just realized that this was set to 5-point challenge. That's probably an error, given that in this lexicon we typically play double, but that's something we should keep in mind in case challenges come up. That with a 5-point challenge, of course, the psychology of the game is going to be a little bit different. Quite is no longer available. Quit is still available if we want to do it. Let me just make sure we don't have a much better option first. Because... oh, I think that's almost certainly going to be best, unless we have a better place to dump the Q. And the other thing, too, is that we're able to play through here with the E if needed. You know, if we want to ebb or something. We won't be doing that this turn because we have too many eyes to get rid of. And the priority will be to deal with some of those first. Yeah, too many eyes. I ideally will get rid of a few of them at once, but if that's not available, then we'll have to come up with some other kind of option. QI, of course, is still available if we want to go parallel through here with something, but I'm unlikely to do more than just a 2-tile play down here. Bang, welcome. Hope you've been well. It's very glad to be back and on stream after taking a bit of an involuntary break to get some issues with the computer sorted out. But yeah, good to see you here. Hopefully everything is going just fine on the Maker and Garage Builder side. Yeah, currently... I mean, I don't think this is necessarily an exchange turn, but, you know, because even if we go BI, for instance, the IFIES ending is not the worst thing. It's a bit inflexible, but it's playable. But obviously, if we can find some way to get rid of multiple eyes at once, that's almost certainly the best way to do it. Aha! Okay, so yeah, I think... I mean, this is about 19 points. Keeping double I is not good, but we still have some flexibility there with the S. I said we take it. And we'll just try to dig ourselves out of the situation. Make a couple of small plays at once. And see, as we expect, that we're still a little bit heavy on vowels here. See if there's anything else that we can do to get out of this situation. But yeah, this is going to probably just depend quite heavily on what my opponent does. I mean, we have the S for potential play down here, and that's going to be one of the main things we'll be looking for, I think. Also, potentially something down here. Grinder, okay. Let's see if we have anything through anything like this. Unfortunately, no room for notifies. Notifies would have been very nice. And I don't think there's anything else in it. So, the other thing that we can, of course, look for is something that allows me to play 6 tiles through here. And failing that, could also do something like finite. Of course, that would take something like a DE in front. Just trying to get rid of some of this stuff, really. So, let's see what we can do. I think that's actually not too bad an idea, even if it does spend my E pretty quickly. Let's make sure my keyboard's working. Whoa. Oh, okay, no, I'm playing through the wrong tile here. Obviously, you could put like an IN in front, or a DE, or something like that. Indefinite, infinite, etc. But let's make some space. Natcat. It sounds like music out of Chrono Trigger because it is by the same composer. This is by Yasunori Mitsuda, and it is the music from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Chrono Trigger was, of course, where Mitsuda really got his big start as a composer in video games. Just a legendary soundtrack by somebody who was kind of having his first go at the form back in the earlier days of the Square RPGs. But that's why it sounds familiar. And welcome, Natcat. Hope you've been doing well. I feel like I probably do have something interesting here with this rack here. But, you know, something like ending with work or ending with where. Unfortunately, I don't really see anything just yet. So, yeah, we'll see what we can do with this. Because if I can, I'd like to play something maybe through here. But I don't see anything particularly good just yet. Or having something that lands with a good consonant down there. Or something that lands with an S down there. I don't really know where that's going to go. Or we could go down here, something like 21 points. No, not good enough. I think spending the S is maybe not the worst idea here, because we will basically tie up the game. I'm trying to see if there's something better I can do in that kind of position. You know, if there's anything that would end with work. Or something like Reeks. I don't quite like the E in that position. I think we'll, yeah, go with works. Because we would still have a W play going down here. Don't really like spending the S that way, but it was for a play over 30 points, and I think the next best play was probably not nearly as good. The reason I kind of wanted to hang on to the S was because we have a couple of good spots with the S going down here with a short play parallel to the Q, or with a big play off of a Jiva. But this will probably be fine. I should think about this to see if there's any 3-letter combination that goes in front of works, because I feel like that's probably a big threat if we can think of something that actually goes in front, like networks or something, for example. So, for example, if we keep NE and try to draw to one of the 4 remaining T's in a bag, then you would have something like networks. And so that's definitely a threat unless this gets blocked first. So, let's see what else we can do. This is closing up pretty quickly here. Priority here probably is just to get rid of the W somehow. I don't mind this idea that we had earlier. I'm just going to check some other things. 19 here. A low actually is a word. Yeah. I guess you'd have to draw an E and a T to do something like networks, but we'd have some other options coming out of that. So let's just tie up the game. It's going to be 161, 161. As you can see, we drew a T, so we can try to draw into an E, which is actually somewhat probable given that we have 8 E's remaining in the bag. Of course, it's possible that all of this will just get blocked up first. And there are probably a lot of other things other than networks that would go there. I just haven't thought about what that would be just yet. But we'll keep that in mind, because that is going to be quite a lot of points, actually. That would actually be 45 points if you can get something in front of networks. Minimum 45 points. So the idea would be that I'd want to hang on to NT, keep a decent leave still, but try to play off a lot of this other stuff as quickly as I can. Just so we can get out of this position as soon as we can. So I want to be thinking in terms of nice big plays. You know, that would get rid of 4, maybe 5 tiles if I can. So we'll see if we can actually find a way to make that work. I currently don't really see that many options to do so. I mean, we can just make small plays that don't score very much. That's 8 points. That's terrible. Because you have to think about your average score as well. I mean, it's no use trying to score something that's only about 40-something if you're also going to completely blow a turn to try to draw towards it. But right now I'm sort of in a situation where we have low point tiles that are not making a big play, like a bingo where you would use all of your tiles at once. And when you're in that kind of situation, it can be difficult to get any kind of value out of your rack. One more thing we should look at is the ing ending coming down towards the G. Because I don't think I have anything now, but we should definitely be thinking about that. There are, interestingly... Oh no, I was thinking intally, or intaglio. Doesn't actually fit because of this W that I put there. That blocks up everything. So, we'll see. This is still a big threat for anybody who has one of the 3 remaining S's or 2 remaining blanks. So that's something we should keep our eye on as the game progresses. But my opponent is taking some time here, so we'll see how this goes. So yeah, we'll see what to do about that. Okay, lagged. This is going to create a pretty threatening situation down here that I want to pretty much take out right away. I want to keep NT though, so what do I do here? Probably something... I might not be able to do that. At least not in a way that's fairly graceful, because the only thing that's going to go in front of L is A. And I may have to temporarily give up on the network idea just to take that spot, because I don't want to just do a 2-tile play like AN. That's going to be a terrible leave, and I don't draw anything into that. But maybe that actually is going to be one of the better options here. But if I can think of a bigger play, like something that'll dump many tiles at once, just to get me out of the situation that I have with some of the eyes, for instance, that is probably going to be much better. I actually don't have that many options here in front of the L, because I would have, let's see, AT endings, AN, AL. Yeah, I think this might actually be to play. Undouble that, unfortunately keeping 2 eyes. I don't really like that, but we'll have to go to the analyzer afterwards and see what my other options would have been. I felt like I had to take that. That's just too much of a threat right now on the board. But even if I weren't committed to keeping NT into a small draw that was unlikely to pick up an E, I didn't really have that many plays that would have a parallel that would finish there. One thing I should have considered, actually, is doing a play down here that would have ended in I, because nothing goes in front of LI, which would kill any parallels going down here. And so maybe that would have been the better idea, to play something going down here with an I ending, even if it's a short word that doesn't score very much. So, next, typo bonjour. Salut. I've seen that you've been streaming later and later lately, which works out very well for me in terms of actually catching your stream at some of my crazy times. I'm glad to be back myself. I was kind of offline for the last week and a half or so, just due to some technical issues. But let's see what we can do here. Zonal, I'm pretty sure doesn't take anything, so let's see if anything presents itself through the A. And let's see here. Yeah, obviously I do want to undouble some of these things, but no parallels over here because I only have I to work with. I really don't have very much to work with here, unfortunately. So, let's see. This lane is eventually going to be something. Should look at this. But I don't really have 5s, do I? From what I can see. Yeah, I might just have to do some kind of silly play here. Ugh, don't like that at all. Opens up everything. Yeah. Don't really want to do small plays as well. Yeah, this is going to take some thinking here, because I think I do have a little bit of tunnel vision for what's going on. You know what? Let's just take this. Okay, opens up a little bit, rebalances a bit. Doesn't really give me much to work with, despite a rack that looks a little more playable. Still kind of looking at this potential spot. Proxy. 41 points, okay. Let's see what we can do here. Obviously, you know, you do have the possibility of just doing a small parallel, but I'm just too far behind at this point to just be thinking constantly about these tiny plays, I think, unless they really allow me to get some flexibility back in here. That might actually be to play, though, looking at this. Really don't like that consonant heavy leave, though. Just going to check this quickly. Nope. And not seeing anything with an X start. Also, you know, could just play off some tiles. 22 there, yeah. 23 there. I think, in terms of getting out of some of this consonant trouble, let's do that. Okay, this is, if not something by itself, then certainly close to something. There is almost no place to really do much with this rack here. I don't think there's a 7. I do see a couple of 8s that are not going to go. However, we do finally have networks, which I was thinking about much earlier. And actually doesn't leave me with a very good rack coming out of that just because of that situation with the V. Still looking at this in case we do in fact have something. I should look a little bit more carefully. But we'll see if anything is actually going to go. Yeah, because we have a lot of tiles that will end here. The T, the S, the E, the L. Most things will, in fact, go there just fine. I just don't think that's going to happen with the V on my rack. So we have a couple of options here. We can try to catch up with networks for 45. I still am keeping the S on a board that is generally not too friendly to the S, despite still having this available. The other thing is I should still be looking through here in case there is anything. Even something like Vid. Dumping to V, it does keep the networks idea available. It does also play towards a potential bingo draw if we want that as a second option. An extra typo, yeah, I'm glad you enjoy the music. It is, I've been going through a rotation of these video game mega mixes that occasionally get pulled from YouTube. Which at least don't run into copyright trouble with Twitch, usually, because most video game music just won't be on file. It's taken me some time to figure out what doesn't get me into issues with muted audio. Okay, so Foe is going to go there. It's going to close off any bingo idea down here. So we basically have a choice now. We don't really have much of an S board to work with anymore. So I can go for networks. That's going to get me 45, and thank you for the follow. From Krista, donates a lot. Yeah, we've got 20 left in the bag, both blanks still available, which is interesting. This is still pretty open, of course, but we're too consonant heavy to do much with it. So the candidate plays I'm looking at right now are Vid for 21, networks for 45. We've got lots of E's still left in the bag, but also lots of U's and some other things, so I guess Vid is still available as something next turn, so I'm really just choosing turn order here. Let's do it. Yeah, not great. Also, this idea would have been available with the E. Maybe. So, yeah, we do have the second S now. Maybe that'll give me a bit more flexibility in terms of just playing some things off. This is one of those racks that does make me miss the Collins-specific VLY. And yeah, Chris donates a lot. Thanks for dropping by. Hope you're having a good day as well. I mean, one thing we can do here is to do something like a... I don't know, like we're down by about almost 40 right now, down by 39. I was looking at something like this. That's only 12. That's not great. It does close off like crazy, and I'm not in a position where I can afford to do that. should actually try to leave that open. Just way too consonant heavy right now, and you know what? We have this. That's going to be first choice for sure. It does leave me with an all-consonant rack. Currently, vowels and consonants are equally matched in the bag, plus 2 blanks. This will definitely be the first choice play. Absolutely no question about it, in fact. I just don't see anything even remotely close to it. Yeah, failing that, we should, of course, look at what else is available. Looking at anything that I can do to start opening up in this end without blocking everything off. I mean, realistically, the T is the lane here. You're not really going to have much that ends with the I. So, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, if this gets closed off by maybe a play going down here, maybe a play onto the Y, although maybe that's less likely, we'll just have to think about that accordingly. If there is something like a play down here that blocks that off, that at least opens up a bit of an S idea coming later. And yeah, extra typo, when I was putting the overlay together, the only thing I could do to really make things like the tile pool and scorecard readable was just to magnify all of Wiggles to like 125%. Just, you know, do the font magnification in my browser. Because I found that since I am streaming at 720p, that anything less than that made the tile pool just this totally fuzzy, unreadable mess. And yeah, so that's pretty much the compromise that we had come up with. So. But in terms of getting it to look sharp, that was the solution I had. And if occasionally, or rather, if eventually we get something like a webcam going, we still have room for that in the bottom left corner, so the layout is something that's going to be eventually extensible, I hope. But we'll see. Yeah, definitely a bit of a longer turn for my opponent here. Also, I should have looked at this spot here. If this gets blocked, one way that we could get rid of some consonants is to just play off TLY down here for 32. Keeps VISS, I mean, we'll kind of be thinking about making small plays to catch up from there. Probably not drawing towards anything like a bingo at that point with the remaining bag, although there are 2 blanks, so you never know. Tally, of course, does open up this whole column here. It would require a vowel start, but with 2 blanks still in the mix, that is something that's a potential threat. Block. Okay, between Tally keeping VISS for 32 and Zisti keeping... that's 30 keeping VLS. Ooh. I should actually give this stronger consideration now that I look at it. It does open up the right side. It does keep... So I'm looking at VLS or VISS as the leaf going into this bag. S is not really going to be that useful here, though. Except for endings like this. But the vowel situation does make me a little bit concerned. Tally-ho! Yeah. Oh, that's a nice one to bring in fact. I think we will go with this. VLS, yeah, we'll draw a little deeper into the bag. Zisti is already a plural, so it doesn't take any back hooks, and we will draw the other S, as well as 2 E's, so... let's see what we can do with this. Still looking at this spot here. Yeah, Netcat definitely not promising anything when it comes to eventually expanding our streaming setup. But one thing, of course, is that Extra Typo has been requesting a music stream for some time, and I am thinking ahead to how we might do that, because I may be in a situation in a couple of weeks when I can actually record on a nice piano, and if I can get the technical setup together, that might be something to look forward to, but I don't have that sorted out yet, and so nothing to announce just yet. I'm looking at something like cows. It does open up like crazy on the right side, but we have a good leave coming out of that. The thing I'm worried about is double blank still unseen. That if we leave any kind of lane for my opponent, who has been eaten by Gru, we need to maybe be a bit concerned. However, I'm in decent position to draw towards a bingo myself. This is a 4-tile play with 6 in the bag. It's going to leave 2 in the bag. I really feel like there's a pretty high probability that my opponent will bingo. But if my opponent does bingo, we want to be in a position where we can bingo back and have an out. And a leave like LES, with the score evened up a little bit, does allow me to potentially have an out bingo in whichever lane is not taken. I think that a bingo going to the T, though, it won't hit any word scores, and so it's not going to match something that hits here. And so that's the thing I'm currently worried about, is that if we have a bingo going down here, and I think it's somewhat likely given the rack, given the pool that we see remaining, I may not be able to outscore. But that's a very serious consideration right now. Also looking down here to see if we have anything better to work with. And, yeah, let's do something. Let's think about this just one moment to see if maybe there's something else I can do that would be a little bit safer. No, I think we'll do it. I'm about 40 behind right now. I really do need a bingo. I think we just need to go for it. Okay, drawing UU blank. UU blank D. Obviously, the doubled U is a big problem. I think, given the pool, my opponent's going to hit. Like, we're going to be smacked with something. Oh, we almost have something like Quaaludes, but apparently not enough tiles to work with. Let's see here. I'm still looking here because I actually kind of think that we're unlikely to have it remain open. Yeah, having both U's at once was really not a great scenario here. It's partly not great because I feel like I probably do have something, and that seeing it is going to be a massive pain, especially with the very limited amount of time that I have remaining. So yeah, 2 different fits there, basically, in terms of what can go there. And also, I'm in big trouble because I've got 3 vowels, and none of my vowels go parallel to the S, so we pretty much must be looking at this lane. Because U is not going to go there, E is not going to go there. So the only thing would be if I have the blank designated as something like the H, and I really don't see anything with that. Although we should be looking, just in case. Yeah. Unfortunately, not enough for something like undulates or anything like that. I am thinking about the blank as an N right now just because of things like the UN start, but I don't really think that's going to do much for me here. I should look at a TED ending as well. Unfortunately, I don't think you can have unlusted. Like if you lusted after somebody once and you no longer do. Don't think that's how that goes. But we'll see, because my opponent is really down on time. You can see 20 seconds, and so we should actually be thinking about how to score out of this. Because my opponent's going to run out of time and hit a time penalty, so they're clearly looking for something and not seeing it. Probably because they almost certainly have the same sort of vowel issue with playing parallel to the S, where I goes there, O goes there, the blank obviously could be something that goes there, but they're also potentially very vowel heavy and might just not have something. And in that situation, the fact that I still have the time advantage to look for smaller plays could come in very handy here. Even though the U's are just a massive problem. I really do need to think about how to do something with that. Yeah, interestingly enough, I am thinking about the blank designation as a Q. Oh, very nice, very nice. Okay. Alright, I think we just lose this one, unfortunately. I should take some time to look for something regardless, but as I said, the blank would either have to be a vowel or an H. And we don't really have anything that I think would use both U's here. So I think we just lose, unfortunately. But let me just think about this carefully and see if we can, in fact, come up with something here. If it's not a bingo, it's going to be a losing play, and I don't think we have one. But I do want to see if maybe there is something we can do to at least play off some of this stuff. Like maybe louse... I don't know, loused... Louse should be good, I think. That might be the best we can do, unfortunately. Because UU is just too much of an issue here. I should also be thinking about anything that would go over there, but really don't think that's going to happen at this point. Yeah, because there's just too much going on. I think AE up here is likely going to be the play for my opponent. It's going to be something like, what, 14 points? Yeah. Yeah, I think we just take the loss here. But I'm still just looking for some kind of decent out. Or a decent way to play things off. I think we just go loused here. And just take a -2 from the U. And that's pretty much going to be it. And hey, Scott, welcome. Yeah, Ointment was quite nice there. It was a difficult rack to work with, as you can see, and my opponent did go over time, probably looking for something down here. Just because of the difficulty of finding the parallels there. I haven't really stared at my opponent's rack long enough to see if they had an alternative play. I've just been too busy thinking about this rack here. I think we just go louse and take the loss. Because with the UU draw at the end, I just don't see a way to do it. And yeah, let's pass this and concede. So yeah, we'll have to go back over this. I think looking at... I mean, I couldn't have expected to draw UU blank at the end there. I think that this was probably the right play. In terms of keeping both lanes open and thinking in terms of doing a comeback bingo. Against a very likely bingo. Like, I think strategically that was a sound idea, although I haven't looked at the alternative plays yet, and I think we'll have to step through that if we have time. Phony enforced overtime, yeah. Yeah, I think that the club standard for Toronto was actually supposed to be, sort of regular over-the-board times, like 25 and 10, but that wasn't the setting we had here. And as you can see, we also had 5-point challenge, so we weren't very particular about the game settings going into this, but that's okay. We just had mutual consent there, I think. Anyway, let me just make sure that I'm not already assigned to my next pairing. I do have to see, because we might not have time to step through this until afterwards. Until we get an invite, I don't know who my next pairing is just yet, but until we get an invite, I'll just step through this quickly to look for any misses. Oh, azonal, yeah. I forgot about Tinworks. I was thinking about so much that go there, I just didn't see it. Yeah, you're quite right that really seriously cost me there. That's a very, very good point. Because that's one where, like, I didn't even think to look at it because I was just tunneling so hard on the networks idea. But that's absolutely right. Anyway, let's step through quickly until I know who my opponent is going to be. Okay, so... yeah, I mean, placement there was probably fine. Not going to look too much at some of the smaller adjustments here. I was thinking about a spot for Feek, but I think this was probably okay. You know, in terms of not dangling the triple there with the Q parallel. That's the kind of thing the engine's not going to consider. And... yeah, not settling for Java at the front. I think... I mean, if you're thinking about Java, then what are you going to do positionally, right? Like, if you're doing Java, you don't want to dangle a J, you don't want to just dangle it for the S. At the same time, it's not too vulnerable to parallels, at least, if you do dangle it over the vowels. So look at this. So this was actually not bad. I was quite worried about this, because it felt like it was just way too small a play. But I did like the IFIES ending, even if it isn't going to draw into very much. Right, mistonifies. I did see notifies. I don't think I actually knew notifies tonifies as a set. That's a big problem, because I did see notifies immediately. And I think maybe I just didn't see that set through study, which is odd because despite the double-I, the probability isn't really that far down. New from 2015, okay. And yeah, I think it's just those two, probably. That's one where if I had seen it through study, then I would have seen it, but yeah, it's not one that I would have thought to try myself, I think. Okay, I do have my next pairing, so we'll just step through this quickly. I didn't think about reeks over there. I was looking at this spot for sixes, and I actually was thinking about reek down here, so I don't know what happened there that I wouldn't have considered that spot instead. So yeah, we'll just step through. If there's anything... oh, legworks, look at that. Tinworks, that's where I missed it. I was thinking about the infinite extension much earlier on. That actually has kind of a nice sleeve to it, but Tinworks was the big miss, as we saw Extra Typo point out earlier. And yeah, I just completely forgot about azonal up front. Okay, so yeah, we'll come back to this afterwards, I think, just to take a look at some of the other misses. But for now, next game. Okay, this is going to be from Glenn. And, yes, I'll be passing because my opponent will be going first. So yeah, this club actually does, for their club nights, operate with first and seconds pre-assigned, or at least evened out, so we'll start with a pass. And yeah, thanks for the wishes for good luck. And yeah, that was a gigantic drop when it came to Tinworks. I did see recently that in the hidden feature list, they did have the equity display in the analyzer going by subtraction. I find, though, that, I mean, I do see the use of that, but at the same time that I do kind of like to see the raw equity values as well, just because additively I think it's easier for me to visualize what's going on with the leave value. Okay, we'll probably just dump a bunch of stuff here to... yeah, like viola or something. I don't really like that two-vowel leave, but we're so vowel-heavy anyway that I might as well play 5 just to get rid of some of that. Do we want top or bottom? Top like that, bottom like that. I'm gonna go top because of the eye position. Lanes, whoops, oh shoot. 1 second, I forgot to put the drawing tool back on. Let me get back into the game. Yeah. Whoops. Yeah, occasionally I forgot to get a drawing tool on and I accidentally click through menus in my browser instead when I right-click. And yeah, that's definitely a bop. Very well-timed emote. Okay, so... let's see what we have here. Definitely still way too vowel heavy. I believe AOE actually is good in TWL now. I'm not going to put it in that position, of course, with that massive threat. Maybe even just here, although obviously you can have like a Z going down that spot. That would be disastrous. So maybe that's not a great idea either. On the other hand, you know, I think a Z in that spot, while extremely volatile, is probably less of a threat than whatever goes up here. Let's see about that. I really just do want to get rid of those tiles, though. Let's risk the Z, actually. Okay, we've got lots of stuff to work with here. We've got... what is it? Foreseen, we have... probably a whole bunch of other stuff. Let me just see. There's probably a whole bunch of IE endings as well. Also, Porcine doesn't go anywhere, so that's not going to be able to play. So, yeah, not much is going to go there unless I have an S start, of course. It's a content play. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's still going to be available for a parallel for quite some time. I have to remember that this no longer takes to P in NWL. And yeah, let's think about this. It's only going to be B up here. Let's see if I actually have something with an S. I'm probably missing something extremely obvious. Copiers, yeah. Okay. That's going to solve that problem quickly. Maybe there were some better plays, but no, actually, yeah, we're going to get hit with a J pretty quickly. Now, do we have somewhere to snack on some guava? I don't know. Doesn't look like it. We have stuff like, you know, this spot here for Vang. I guess it's a V, and that spot isn't the worst thing that can happen. Trying to see what else we can do to, you know, maybe not likely with this rack. I actually kind of like Vang here. Undoubles the A. Let's just do it. Okay, this is something. This is unacted. Let's jot this down. Unacted isn't going to go down anywhere currently, but we'll see if there's maybe something else that can happen. Currently looking at the D spot as well. The I spot, if there is something that would maybe be like an IC ending. But we should get the alphagram down for that. Yeah, so I am kind of looking at this right now. And New Nits, just saw you come in. Thanks for dropping by. Hope you're doing well. Okay, so disc over there. Let's see. We have... I need to think about whether there's something that's going to use both Ds. Failing that... Whoops. And yeah, still nothing through here. I don't think there's anything here other than unacted in terms of sevens. But I sort of get the sense that, you know, we might have had something with the double the D. So let's just look at this carefully. Looking at the P as well, in case there's anything that would maybe go down there. But yeah, definitely the IC ending is something that I am trying to visualize, and I just don't see anything. This is high probability enough that I should actually know it, in terms of whether that does create something as an 8. It looks so familiar. Probably something with an IN start, in fact. I think we'll probably just go duct and have a fairly decent leave to work with. Unless there's something that is going to do a bit better there. Burning a little too much time here. Yeah, still keeping it fairly even at least. Unfortunately, I don't think you can stand for anyone in this game. Even though all of us secretly stand for Nigel Richards. Let's see here. I don't think we actually have anything. Also, Aqueduct. Keep that in mind if we manage to draw that before the Z-bomb. That has been staring us in the face all this time. Let's not forget Aqueduct. You know what? Let's write some of this stuff down. Just to fantasize about that for a bit. I should also keep in mind that Vang does still take the S at the end, I think, so if we in fact have something that has an IES ending, I should have considered that. In fact, I should have considered that the previous turn when I was playing off the unacted rack. But right now, we have a consonant problem. And not sure what to do with that just yet. And yeah, Extra Typo, thank you for the wishes of good luck, and you have some good Scrabbling yourself. Okay, still trying to think about what to do here. Yeah, we don't want to take that yet until we have some kind of play that will make slightly better use of it. But right now, the ends are definitely kind of in the way. Uh, 12 points, not really great. Does kind of open up that bottom lane a bit. I certainly don't think that stand has been added anyway. That we're not doing that. Of course not. You know what? Maybe this is... it looks terrible. Okay, but we are going to draw something here. This is Naiads. It's not going to go down anywhere convenient right now. But we have that as a possibility if it does in fact open up somewhere. I'm looking still at the P because I have the suspicion that P might actually go with this somehow. There are a couple of things that will go with this for 8, I think. And even if we don't have Naiads in that spot, we might be able to do something else with it. You know, just to dump some of this. Okay, so that's not going to open up for me at all. Yeah, definitely still looking at the AP start right now, or something that goes into AP. That kind of blocks off the top a bit, if that's a concern. I should, of course, still think about that. There's nothing else in there except Naiads, I don't think, so we'll... just look at this quickly, and... I am starting to fall quite a ways behind, actually. That's a bit of a problem. But we do need to do something about our vowel problem here. I don't know if I want to spend the E like that. This really does close off quite a bit, though. No. Obviously not. It's not going to take the second I either, so... I actually kind of want to do that. Just put adjoin there. It does open up triple, but it does open up that spot generally, and maybe that's what I want to do, because I am holding somewhat bingo-worthy tiles. I actually really like that idea. Okay, this is... I don't think it's anything. But it's not any... I don't see any 7s. I may be wrong about that. Let's take a look at this carefully to see. Obviously, you know, you would have had like Araneids if we still had the D open somewhere. I am still looking at that P. That looks like it's maybe a better spot than you would think. Also, being vowel heavy does eventually give me the possibility of a vowel bingo going down this way. Yeah, so we'll see what goes on here. I feel like this thing is going to kill somebody. It may be me, it may be my opponent, we'll see who goes down to that first. Yeah, let's make absolutely sure here. I don't think there's anything, but this is the kind of rack that I should know cold. Because by probability I definitely would have seen it. I actually just kind of like going down here. 15, yeah, I'm still falling a bit behind. That diffuses it a little bit. It does close off a lane, though. I really do need to think about this carefully with that P. It's not Paraneas. It's... Yeah, still looking at this spot. Let's do it. Okay, this is definitely something. Still, we don't have spots for this stuff because I just haven't been opening it up. Yeah, this is actually a problem that I've been running into, that I haven't actually been opening up locations that I can use this rack for. Now, here's one thing that's potentially interesting, is that the B is still available over baby, and so if we actually have something that go over the E, maybe we're in a better situation. I don't think we have anything at the moment to the U. Right. Yeah, I really do need to open up. This is the issue. And because right now we do have stuff like boranes, but I need bingo lanes, and I'm not making them. Should still be thinking about whether I do have something that would maybe go down there. Yeah, initially before everything was blocked up, you know, you'd be looking at stuff like baronies. A little bit heavy on the vowels, but the constant vowel balance right now might give me a decent draw into that, so let's open up. Okay, so we have leashes, we have, I mean, I'd want an S start here, or something going down here with an A. Yeah, so like something like sheaves. We don't have the tiles for that. Okay. Definitely a little bit of a problem here. Also still looking at this in case we actually have something that would give me the Q ending. I still should look at the P, in fact. Okay. Do we have something starting with the H? Because that could solve a lot of issues. Failing that, we'll probably just play off there, but I feel like we probably do have something. Yeah, let me take a look at this very carefully because I really do think I'm probably missing something. Unfortunately, I don't think we have any interesting S words there. I think we probably will just go something like this. Do I play off the second S? That's a good question. Probably not. Because S is still somewhat powerful on this board. This is going to open up lanes, though, at least, for more consonants. If I can think of something that actually goes there. Yeah, let's not spend too much time on it. Take the 30. Okay, this has got to be something that we can work with. You've got oneness, you've got all sorts of things. Trank, yeah, that was eventually just going to be a problem. Toneless, probably 74. Doubt we'll do much better than that. The Z is still available, and the thing about the S is that it's actually going to close off the Z parallel there. So the question is, do I need that to come back? I probably don't, because like even just a single play with a Z there will be enough. And because originally I was thinking, you know, you've got an ADZ, a TIZ, a whole bunch of things that can end with a Z there. And so if we actually have a similar scoring play that's, you know, comes over here instead, like 73 points, maybe we take that instead of the triple, because then I maintain the Z as a catch-up location. Extremely risky, but it's going to be so fancy if we manage to do it. Okay. Z parallel is still not going to be something that comes to me, but yeah, 3 in the bag. WUZ is actually something that's still open. We have stifled. I don't have a spot for it, but we unfortunately can't get that to fit. If we do have a spot open up, though, I'll just go for stifled. I think it's somewhat probable at this point that my opponent is, if not playing the Z this turn, definitely going to draw into it, so I do need to think about not letting that happen now. Unless they just don't see it. In which case... yeah, the question is, does he empty the bag? There are currently 3 tiles in the bag. You would have a couple of plays in the pool that would go there very nicely. You'd have Whiz and you have Was. I believe that in the absence of that, my T goes there. Now, one thing I should look for is whether I still have something big coming down this way. If not... yeah, I think we just look for stifled. But I don't know if Stifled actually goes with anything else. The only spot for 8s is through additional S. I think that's just too consonant heavy unless there's something like the LESS ending, and that's not going to be anything here. So that's not going to go. Depending on which vowels my opponent still has available, though, we could definitely think about starting to go parallel there just to close that off, perhaps. But right now I'm still behind. And if my opponent has the Z, there are a lot of different things that can happen. One tile left in the bag. So my opponent has the possibility of FIZ there. Also notice that, oh, you know what? Oh, it doesn't fit. Doesn't fit. What a shame. However, we have the S. So right now, the only play that my opponent will have that will actually take the Z-bomb spot is FIZ. What I want to do is I want to draw into something that will give me an out and 2 that will tag onto the end of this word here. Or, if I draw to Z, then I have SEZ down here. So the question is, does he ever see the Z spawn or not? Okay. $23 over there. Yeah, I wonder if that was an okay idea. Okay, he's going to take it. So yeah, we basically lose to that, but you know, that's a risk we take. Because I did think that was going to be the winning route, but that's okay. Somebody got it down. I mean, it was just so fancy. Okay, so we are going to lose this one as well. I mean, it's fairly clear what happened there. We did leave this as a volatile spot the whole time, but I was trying to draw into it. So yeah, I mean, if I played toneless there, that would have killed the Z spot, but we would have still been behind, and I think, given how things worked out, we might have been able to catch still, and maybe if we wanted a lower volatility game, that was the way to do it. Canted and Vanga were good. I totally forgot about Vanga. I have seen it. I just didn't remember it. Or rather, didn't visualize it. But yeah, I was definitely thinking, though, that, you know, if you see this play, for instance, IWI goes down. I mean, that was kind of a tell to me that Z was in the bag, right? Because if my opponent had WIZ, he would have played it. Like, if he's going to play this, it tells me that Z was still in the pool. Yeah, because the way I was seeing that, we can look at the examiner if I'm not really rushing off to my next pairing yet. See what went on there, because his last couple of racks, he's drawing into Z as one of the last ones in the bag, so because he's playing WI over here, IWI, FGMU. Yeah, so he actually draws AIZ at the very end. And so it really was the right play to see Oh no, he only played off one eye. I played off the second eye. But yeah, he plays that and draws AZ at the very end. So by inference, I actually think that, you know, if I wanted a wild swing at the end to have a comeback, that this was not the worst idea in the world. So yeah, 33% chance, I guess. That's exactly what it is. I mean, I don't know, that's a very cleanly played approach to the endgame, but I don't think I really saw options there that would have been any good, because nothing I do with that spot with something like the T in front, for example, scores well enough to catch up without opening up some kind of gigantic bomb over here. And that was a bit continent-heavy to begin with, I think. Interestingly enough, if I had played Toneless going down here, I actually would have had lanes open for something like Stifled. Like if I wanted to keep bingo lanes open because I thought I was drawing more bingos, then I go here. But I was thinking at that point that my route to victory would be to bingo and then do a Z play if I managed to draw into it. And maybe I shouldn't be counting on something that's dependent on that draw, but definitely after I see WI go down, I'm fairly confident that I have a good shot, right? But I don't know if there's a safer winning route in that. Anyway, I don't know if the next pairings are going to be up yet, so we'll just scroll through this quickly in the meantime. And like I said, I didn't look through Game 1 properly either, so we'll see how much time we have. And yeah, we'll just take a look at this. I passed because my opponent was assigned first. Yeah, I was looking at Viola. I didn't see the spots for Voila. I think functionally Viola's fine. Look at this, Isonomy. A beautiful fit there. And yeah, I was looking at AoE spots. Oh, I completely forgot about, or rather just didn't visualize the E hook going there. That was actually a big problem. Because I was looking at AoE and I just didn't even think to look at the back hook. I mean, that's an easy one to know. It's not a knowledge issue, it's just not visualizing that. And of course that's much safer against something like a Y or a Z going down here. And so yeah, I mean the game eventually just turns on this move here, just dangling the Z spot for kicks. Yeah, that's going to be the play. Whoops. Ah, periodic, interesting. And periodic. Periodic. Surrounding the ear. Copiers I find as the 7, of course. Croppies, Choppier, Pericope. Pericope when you're just shy of a periscope. Is a selection from a book, Pericope. The pronunciation is almost certainly bungled there, but obviously I wouldn't play something in that position, but yeah, copiers is fine. We get hit by joined. And disc is a nice placement there. Very well done. Ah, I did miss something. Adducent. I was thinking about doubling the D, and I was looking at things like adduce, but I don't think I actually knew adducent, at least not confidently, so... Yeah, because when I was playing Duct, I was thinking about stuff like Adduct. But I thought I would just kind of keep that leave and... Look at this, Adunk. That would have totally closed off the right side. But yeah, I just missed Adducent. That's something we'll need to look at. Yeah, interesting. I think he actually keeps the Q out of this and just plays through it, which... ERT there, keeping QELL. Yeah, on this board, that's kind of a risky thing to be hanging on to the Q like that. Because you're likely to be holding it for some time. And as we know, the Q doesn't go down until much later on the top corner of the board. I missed pendants. Okay. I don't remember if I was looking at the P on this turn. I was looking at it on racks that were a little more vowel heavy. But that's a big miss. Particularly because the next best plays are all not great. Like, I wouldn't do that to open a triple, for instance. A lot of this is functionally similar, I guess. I mean, it would be nice to take the extra points. Adjoined is actually not bad, as you can see here. I sort of liked what it was doing positionally. I needed lanes for the S. And having a vowel heavy leave does draw towards bingos that use that, but at least I didn't miss anything that turn like I did with pendants. And yeah, that's basically what my opponent's looking at. Just a... I see that he's just trying to expand quite a bit at that point until he gets into a position where the cube will go down. Does block off somewhat, although this lane is still open. Okay, definitely nothing here either in terms of 8s. Reinduct, I didn't think about extensions here actually, and I should have looked at that for sure. AAS, not the best leave here, but we're also not in a very bingo heavy situation. I do like that at least we had a decent selection there. That's not the worst decision, perhaps. Yeah, Qual is a pretty decent choice. Oxer, oh, just didn't... I think it's one of those situations where you see the opportunity to finally dump the Q that you've been hanging on to, and my opponent just takes it. Because, you know, the X will give you some other chances. The Q... you kind of need to take that shot. Look at this too, that if you draw into something like a D here, you get the X-bomb onto Redux. Only one D left in the pool at that point, but it's something that is definitely worth considering. I don't think I knew the extension Aeroduct. So that's nothing really. Let's see what else we have. Yeah, lots of things here. Exert, Exunt. I think if you see Exunt, you just take it. Much better defensively, and it dumps to you. Pursued by a bear. Okay, I missed Harses. I was looking at this kind of arrangement too. So yeah, I blew this turn. Yeah, I was looking at the S starts. Didn't I say I was looking at sheaves? Why didn't I? Oh, because I was thinking of THES, and I just didn't do the obvious thing and think about the very similar word sheaves. And if I had properly iterated through the alphabet for the blank in that rack, I should 100% have seen it, because I was literally holding the rack in that order. So this was a bad miss. So yeah, Bingo Vision just really killed me this game. Okay, my opponent has Natrium and misses it, so I kind of get away with that, but Trank is going to go down and pull quite a bit ahead regardless. Yeah, Pastines, there's... oh, look at this parallel here, wonderful. 81 points going down there. And of course you kind of have to see the end hook here. I mean, is an easy hook to know, but not necessarily one you're going to think about when in bingo mode. So yeah, of course I was picking between toneless and oneness, and I go with oneness specifically because of that Z consideration later on. And yeah, pretty ugly rack for my opponent. And what does he even do here? He's going to fume about it and keep IIW. Interestingly enough, I guess one of the reasons why you would be feeling okay keeping IIW at this point is that if you do draw to Z, you are in fact still setting up for that spot here. Round 3 pairings are up. Okay, so yeah, this is the end game that we looked at earlier, of course. I mean, given that my opponent draws to Z, if I don't block at this point, I just lose. And so that's pretty much what happens. I just lose. Yeah, I still think that given the information I have, this is kind of defensible. I am 29 behind, so the thing is, if I do try to close off the Z spot, what options do I have really, right? I mean, I could be trying to play off a consonant and maybe trying to fish one for a bingo, but, you know, like a play off D or T there, I think. That's pretty much going to be it. Yeah, still waiting for my pairing to come up. Some of them are beginning to trickle in, so we'll see in just a moment who our assignment is. Fizz for 72 is going to go down, and that's going to be the end. So yeah, no time to look at game 1 right now. Once again, we'll just save that until after we're done. I think it's fairly clear what happened here. Lots of huge misses. Missed pendants, missed all of the H bingos that were honestly fairly easy to see. And so yeah, kind of poorly played on my side, sure. As we are waiting, quite possibly we can just take a look at the end of game 1. Just until somebody sends me a match. Yeah, so here was game 1 earlier. And we'll just take a look at some of the plays near the end. Don't quite remember how far we were when looking at this. We went as far as here, I think. And yeah, I think I'm still waiting for a result or two to come in from my group, hence the slight wait that we have here that will allow me to look at some of these plays. So yeah, my opponent misses legworks, but then I make a huge blunder here by missing tinworks, significantly better than the nearest play. And yeah, zonal here, still miss tinworks over and over. It's still available this turn and is significantly better than the nearest play. Proxy is going to be a fairly obvious play here. Still missing tinworks every turn. Didn't even think about it. And yeah, definitely had a ton of tunnel vision there for networks. Even when I was still holding tinworks, as you can see, which is better just by virtue of keeping the E. Look at this beautiful 9 here, allogenic. Yeah, you're rarely going to find somebody who actually sees that, I think. Allogenic. Being genetically different, although belonging to or obtained from the same species. Let's punch that one in chat, because that's a wonderful little computer play. And yeah, so this rack I was thinking about for a while because I did think about Tally. Interestingly enough, it does, the engine prefers Sally because of the way it undoubles the S. And so, undoubling the S is actually something that it favors in this position. Interestingly enough, that despite scoring very similarly, Zisti is all the way down because the evaluator doesn't like the LSV leave. However, the evaluator isn't really looking at the pool, I think, and when we see 5 E's in a pool like that, I'm feeling okay. about my ability to draw out of this. So I don't know, maybe this was still correct, even though with the double blank unseen, I was understandably a little bit concerned about the way we might open up down on the right side. And yeah, definitely a little bit of a weird rack to work with here. Look at this beautiful parallel for 38 points. Yeah, absolutely crazy fit here. Nothing's going to come close to that play, but that's the kind of play that, well, it definitely wins games, that's for sure. Cows is going to be number one choice there. Even accounting for playing off the S, which kind of obstructs both my opponent and myself from playing bingos. But I think undoubling the S was probably the right idea at this point. I'm drawing towards the double blank, as well as just trying to maximize my bingo probability in either lane here. And so I think fundamentally I'm still okay with that play. It's just that I did lose to appointment afterwards. So my opponent does miss a bunch of stuff going down to the right side that I wonder if they would have taken it. Given that if you're my opponent, you're looking at the pool here and thinking, okay, the only thing that is going to go next to the S is the blank. And so even if you see the plays on the right side, it might actually be the right move to be playing bingos on the top instead. Because although the scoring potential on the right side is going to be a bit higher for me here if it remains open, I have almost no flexibility from the pool that my opponent is seeing, because out of all the tiles there, the blank is forced into either first position or second position. And with two tiles in a bag, there's also some possibility that I am holding both U's, which is the case because I draw UU blank and something else going into the end. I was drawing... what was it? Yeah, UU blank D going into the last play. So yeah, missing a few spots here for big plays like that. But at this point, it was fairly clear that we were going to lose. So I don't think under any circumstances that we have a decent 7 here, even on a board that's open. I'm just going to check that in the chat very quickly. And yeah, 0 results for that. Yeah, 1 U I probably could have dealt with. Both of them at once, not so much. And as I was saying, I think strategically, from the pool that my opponent was seeing, it does kind of make sense to play top left rather than down to triple lane. Somewhat counterintuitively, despite the scoring difference. How much of a scoring difference are we talking about? Tontine, Intone, etc. Those are going to be 70s. Point pins is 59, so you're talking about a point sacrifice that's about 15 points, roughly. Yeah, I do not have my third pairing yet, but I think my group might still be waiting for somebody, so we'll just go back and take a look. But I think that's pretty much all we're looking at in this game here. And yeah, missing that azonal spot at the end, of course. I don't think I was ever really in a good position to use it, though. But I don't know if I missed a big play there. So yeah, tin works was a big problem. It was correctly pointed out by Axer Typo when he was in the chat much earlier. And we'll see who my opponent is going to be soon, I think. So in the meantime, let's head back to the lobby. And we'll see who is still waiting to be paired. Yeah, I'll have to take a look here to see which games we are in fact waiting on. But we'll just wait for word on who my final opponent of the day is going to be, as well as which lexicon we're playing. So yeah, definitely kind of a rough day so far in terms of missing plays that should be fairly easy to see. And we'll see who I am waiting on. I mean, in the meantime, we can probably spectate a game. Just to see how things are doing. But I think I know who my opponent is going to be. Yeah, just waiting for confirmation right now, and we'll take a look. We can dip into another game in the meantime if we want to watch some high-level play. Yeah, but it looks like we might actually be switching into the Collins Lexicon for Game 3, so we'll just wait for that to come up in just a minute. But, yeah, it's just one more opponent here in the lobby, so... Just waiting for confirmation, and then we will go. In the meantime, we can dip into something and just spectate. Until I receive an invite. And then, yeah, we're about to be good to go. Lots of stuff in this rack, like Solaret and Free Souls and so on. But we'll have to dip away from here in just a minute when I receive an invite, so... Just going to stare at this for a moment to see if the play is going to go down. She should definitely see it. I think maybe she's probably looking for a play that is going to fit nicely, but, you know, lots of things are going to go next to zone. Lots of lanes available here, in fact. Like S lanes, ES, ET lanes, etc. I think the lanes next to the Z are where to go. We may have to leave you in suspense there, though, because I will be going to my own game in just a moment. I do kind of wonder if she'll see it, though. That's okay. Let's get into our own match. A 5-point challenge. I think their regulation here is going to be 25 and 10. Let's send it. And let's see if it's actually going to go. I think he may just have stepped out for a minute, so. We'll wait. And then we'll continue on to game number 3. It's been a while since I've actually played in the Collins Lexicon. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, kind of want to see what was going on, though, while we're waiting. But there we go. We are in. Okay, we didn't actually receive instructions on whether there's first or second enforced in this game, but I think we'll just go ahead and play. I will be going second. We'll be looking at precisely the kind of rack that was giving us all kinds of trouble in the previous game because of the way the Z bomb went down to the very end. Narcissist is going to come down first, I believe is going to be the play here. I really don't think there's anything even close to that. Okay. The G is not the best thing to be holding here. I am looking at whether there is something that would go potentially through the S, but we don't quite have something like elegized. Eulogized is good. I don't know about elogized, because yeah, eulogized is almost certainly good, but I feel like we would have seen something similar to that. Maybe. Let's keep that in mind in case I do want to try it. And let's take a look at some other spots in the meantime. Make sure my drawing tool is correctly enabled, so we don't accidentally back out of the game. Yeah, failing that, we'll probably just do something to play out to G somewhere. You know, probably nothing too vowel heavy like that. Vorse, okay. That's going to preclude quite a few options in terms of parallels there, just because of that V. And also close off that spot. We can just try to play off some of this stuff. Going to be a little bit vowel heavy, keeping EI at the end there. I don't know if I want to be doing that. If there is something else that I can do to get out of that position, we should consider it. Yeah, 23 over there, that's not a great leave. OLEE, 22 over there. It's actually probably still better than keeping two vowels like that. Although, no, we probably do want to turn around a lot of tiles instead of drawing into a very one-point heavy rack. Also, Yeah, that's going to be very vulnerable up front. Let's blow this open a bit. This spot is still going to be a hot spot. Yeah, as I was expecting, we were going to draw into a pretty vowel-heavy situation, but I don't think I thought that went through very well. Here, we're almost certainly just going to be playing off B somewhere. Unless we... I mean, I'm not going to find something like an 8 going out of this. But let's just continue watching and see if there's anything that's going to present itself. Right now, yeah, that's going to be closed off pretty quickly, as we might have expected. Now, I don't know if there's a better spot to be going here. I mean, we might just go... is that even good? I have to think about that. I don't think you can actually just be something, but Collins... No, I don't know. I definitely know that's not good in NWL. So if I'm unsure in Collins, I should not try that. However, just playing off E's is fine. I actually kind of like that. We're still in a lot of trouble here, though, as you can see. But at least we have a little bit more balance now in terms of what I'm working with. Tempo, oh, very nice. Very well placed for 36 points. I feel like I can probably still continue going this way. You know, something like Phi, but I don't want to play off both E's, I don't think. But I don't want to keep that many vowels either. Do I want to go B-A-E, or do I want to go F-A-E? Probably one of the two. Unless I see a much, much better spot. Let's go F. I don't like keeping either the F or the B as future bingo options there, but... Okay, this is going to be something. I mean, it's got to be. It's going to be ebony is ebonized. But we need somewhere that will actually fit when it comes to the S. And yeah, you've got beanies, you've got probably a whole bunch of other things. If we should actually think about this. It is not going to be, well, actually, I'm not sure, because in NWL it is not beaniest. Beaniest is actually a kind of a notorious phony, because the actual word there is betanes. But the question is, in the absence of beaniest, do we actually have something else that will go down to the S, T? Also, I don't know in Collins if beaniest is in fact valid. I just know that in NWL it is not. So, I'm definitely not going to try it in Collins if it's something that I know for certain is not good in the other dictionary. Unless I really know that for sure. Bendiest is good. Bendiest does place D blank on top of the double, and so, you know, that it's not good. Well, I mean, it's valid, but it's not a particularly great scoring location, especially with the E's dangled over to hotspots like that. But we should definitely think about Bendiest as one of our first choices, especially because I still haven't looked at what some of the other options are going to be. In terms of whether we have anything. So, yeah, that's going to get blocked off. It's going to be blocked off completely, in fact. So, right now I'm looking at anything going through here, anything down here. Maybe something from the R as well. So let's think about that. Yeah. Still looking at the S start down here as well, in case that turns out to be anything. Also, interestingly enough, this does in fact take the B, so we can always do that for a 28-point play if we want to kick the can down the road. But I feel like I'm probably missing something coming from the R, or even through the T. Those are both some pretty dangerous locations, but I think if we see the bingo, we take it. I think we actually do this. Unless I have something that will go with an ET ending. Which is entirely possible. Yeah, unfortunately, something like Vignette is not going to have anywhere to go with the S. Not going to score that well regardless. Let's just do it. And now we have double blank, which is, in our situation, not actually that great, because one blank is effectively just actively detracting from my score. So, also, I noticed that I don't have my notepad up. I've been looking at some of the plays from previous consideration. Anyway, this will definitely be a bingo. There's no doubt about that. But the question is, what kind will it be? Yeah, there are definitely some endings that can go over here, like an OAT ending, like a boat ending or something, but I don't think we have that. The C, of course, is just going to kill everything going down this way. C over here, unless we have an H ending, is also going to prevent anything from going down here, so we should be looking almost certainly at this spot here. You know, something like Sunseer, or... I guess that leaves the possibility open of a massive consonant in front of the R, but it does at least not take any additional plurals down low. 70 points, kind of weak, but it does catch up. I actually think with the double blank situation, there's some possibility that we'll just have something spectacular coming down from Z. Also, anything from the UN. Like unionized 64. Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, 9s are fancy, but I'm not going to do that when it's not really going to score very much. I think Sunseer is actually better than that. I mean, it would have been nice to play a 9, but you don't just pick a 9 for the purpose of playing it. Also, on a previous turn for my opponent, I mean, Var is kind of nice, but... yeah, we'll think about that. Yeah, the R placement there is kind of nice, in fact. You know, in case he was suspecting that I was either setting up there or going for something on top of BE. Okay, so in terms of this rack here, I actually don't mind what we're looking at here. The first thing I am, of course, looking at is this spot here. I don't think that we have anything that doesn't burn the S. I don't think I just burn the S for 30-point play like that, unless I really don't have much better options. I think we can probably afford to do much better. So for example, something like Job up here is 38, very safe position. Also continues to keep the W for something that we can use in front of the R down low. Ordinarily, of course, you don't think about the W as something to keep, but we're not deliberately keeping it so much. It's more that its value on this board is slightly higher than usual if we want to play off something like Job down here. We're slightly ahead right now, so we'll just see what comes down. I really do like a Job as the first choice right now. I think it's actually a fairly clear play. Unless we actually find something much better that also blows some of the scoring tiles. So yeah, despite drawing O's as our only vowels, the nice thing about the O is that it goes nicely with all of these consonants. That's, you know, usually the J, W, and the B are all pretty rough, but they go well with the O's, and they do go well with each other in terms of all the different short words that they're able to form. So we'll see what we can do with that. So close, by the way. If it weren't for that J, so close to rowboats. Yeah, there actually is a variant of Scrabble that people play sometimes where you're allowed to flip a tile over and designate it as anything else. So each turn you kind of say, oh, if I only had a tile, in this case, if I only had an A, and we just flip the tile and turn it into an A. I haven't played that myself, but I have heard about some other players trying that variant. Okay, let's make sure I don't have anything significantly better. Almost certainly not, given that O is only going to fit over the R. I think this is definitely the play. Okay, so we have a couple of things that we can do here. Rote is going to be 30. It does keep all consonants, though, and consonants that don't blend well with each other. So we don't just want to do that. Also, yeah, it's actually better in this position. Nice thing about rote is that, well, the O is dangerous, but we actually do have the consonants that could take advantage of it. Failing that, if we just manage to play off Mo or Mode or something like that somewhere, that could get a lot of problems out of the way. And so, for example, yeah, the O kind of lands on a hot spot if you do that. But keeping ST is really not bad. Especially... I'm trying to remember if Faye actually takes an S. Faye is Collins only. I believe it does refer to what you think it does, which is, well, it's something to do with fairies. But I don't remember if it is just designated as an adjective or if it is in fact a noun. And also notice that the M goes in this location here, in case there is something that we can do to play in that location. Fripon, I'm not sure. So this gives me a possibility of Dome for 46 there. I kind of like that, unless we have Once again, something much, much better. I mean, Dome does dump all my vowels, keeps STW, which could be worse. Unfortunately, we don't have much in the way of S hooks anymore in terms of places that the S can go after that. Because something very consonant heavy like that does leave this open without a clear way to take advantage of it yet. However, the bag is currently vowel heavy. I think we just have to take the scoring play, actually, unless we see something much better. 33 over here, maybe. That is better. Unless we no, 33 there. STW, 46 there. 13 point comparison. Do we sacrifice 13 points, rather, to have this rather than STW? Difficult to say because of the value of the E here. And yeah, I kind of think that, I mean, the E has value, the ED ending still has value. This is actually kind of a tough call. Vowel heavy bag, let's do it. Yeah, given the value of the E, though, maybe that was not a good call. I mean, sometimes you just don't know these things until you know what you're drawing into, but you do have to just think about what is possible. R-hats. R-hats. I'm just thinking about that word here. Like, it is familiar to me, but I'm not completely... Like, I'm not going to give him 5 points over this. I'm just thinking about it. 44 points, yeah, he's going to stay ahead of me by about 20. I still can't do anything under the F spot just yet, but... we just need to do something to get rid of the W, I think. You know, something like this. 12 points, it does open up a lane. Now, ST is a word in call-ins, and so it actually opens up an S spot for my S. I have the last remaining S, and there are no blanks left in the bag, and so you can have vowel endings here as well, so it is potentially dangerous for my opponent, but if I want an S hook, this is actually kind of a crafty way of creating one. I have too many vowels. And... yeah. I have to do something about these eyes. And if I don't see a good way to get rid of the eyes, I may actually need to exchange. I kind of like this idea, in fact. No, still too many eyes. If I can get rid of 2 eyes somewhere without getting into too many problems... then that is likely what we'll try to do. But I don't really see any good eye dumps right now. $13 tiles in a bag, still very vowel heavy, in fact. So do I dump I or do I dump I? 2 eyes left in the bag. There is a Q that is still in there, and the Q actually is a disincentive against drawing too quickly. Unless you have something like keeping an eye to actually make use of it. So yeah, currently considering just an I exchange. The thing to consider is, yeah, we've got consonant hotspots here, you have ing ending here. Yeah, you keep the I because you have the ing ending, you have the S ending here. I think we try to go for bingo, although in the current pool this is dreadful. You've got like Q, U, U, U in there, and I have to think about what I'm actually trying to draw into, because there aren't that many consonants that are useful. So do I exchange 2? Or do we look at something completely different? Also looking at this... Oh, you know what? Here's an idea. Zaire. This catches up. It does kind of give up on the idea of fishing into a bingo, but keeping the eyes for the Q might be a better idea here. I don't want to lose a turn and still not get anything done. So yeah, currently considering 28 points here or exchanging II. Keeping the eyes, in fact, does still allow me some potential plays with the Q later. I actually like this the more I look at it, because I have the ability to finish something with the S as well, including if I draw QU, something like Quins. I think we take it. And now we're in a situation. This is going to be a close endgame. This might be interesting. But, as you can see, we have way too many duplicates. I may, in fact, just do something to... I mean, it's too close to really be good for an exchange right now, but... I'm keeping my eye on that possibility the whole time, just in case it becomes relevant. Because if I want to draw heavily into the bag, so for example, let's say we change N-O-I-N and try to deliberately draw into something like a Q play. Would Q-U-U-U in the bag, is that something that's actually a good idea? Failing that, we just play something like it. There's no place for this to go. Yeah, we'll have to see what my opponent does, because holding the S right now is a major boost to me. Q-U-U-U, still unseen, is a problem, because if you have too many U's, you get logjammed near the end. However, it means that the Q is likely to be played somewhere. That you're unlikely to get stuck with the Q, because there are a lot of different vowels that you can draw into that will allow you to actually play. If I have a way to just play off INN somewhere right now, that might be one of the better possibilities, but... yeah, I don't really see that yet, though. At least not anywhere that is actually going to score. Yeah, 5 points here. And yeah, but a lot of these plays, you know, you might as well just exchange. But then the question is, what do you exchange? Like IIN or IINO to maximize the chance of drawing into a massive Q play. Interestingly enough, with multiple U's, if you have something like a Q play down here, you can in fact have a Q follow-up down here. Also lots of possibilities through here, QI, QUA, lots of things that can go down. I think this game is actually going to turn on to Q, so if my opponent does not play a Q, we should try to draw towards it, I think, because I have a lot of different things I can do with it to score. And so yeah, we'll see if that's actually going to be the case. I feel like this is going to be a critical decision as well, like whether playing this for points and foregoing the possibility of a late bingo with the S. What's the right idea? Because again, the things I was considering were either an ing ending here or a bingo ending down here. Also, do notice the possibility that there are a lot of potential Q bingos that could go down. So for example, you could have something like liquate. Liquate going down that side. I believe that's the word. But basically that's just an example of the kind of things that can happen and which my opponent could potentially be drawing towards. Or even something like quality. Not that quality is going down anywhere. Yeah, the more I look at the situation, the more I'm thinking that I actually want to draw towards the Q. And so the question right now is, how do I do that? Do I do something like exchange INN? I'm trying to think. I know that something like innie and outie are not good in TWL, but again, the thing is, if I don't know in the other lexicon, like if I know for sure it's not a word in the other lexicon, I should not try it here. Otalgia. Otalgia is good. I don't know if I like Otalgia. I think I need to kick that. Anyway, upholds Otalgia. It's definitely not good in NWL. I need to check this, or I might lose, I think. If he scores 18 for that, he likely draws into the Q. I think I challenge. Not good. Okay. Yeah, it's Otalgia. Anyway, so we know now that opponent holds... Let's try to get this in order. And we now know there's no Q, because if he had the Q, he plays it. So let's take a look at what's actually in the pool. By crossing off what we know is there. -1 tile. AGILOT. You do, in fact, have stuff like equality in there. Also, here's a big problem, is that UUU is still unseen in the bag, so we don't want to be drawing really heavily in there. But seeing a difficult play from my opponent like that, where he can't score much and he's thinking about blocking a potential Q, tells me that I actually do want to exchange. Question is... no, we don't want to play off the eyes. We definitely want to keep the eyes. I think I actually exchange either INN or INNO. Now, the case here is, why would I keep the O? Is it because I'm trying to minimize the chance of drawing multiple U's, or is something else going on there? We have 7 vowels in there, 4 consonants. I think I dumped the O. Although, this is the last remaining O. It's apart from the one that my opponent is holding. He holds 1 O, I hold 1 O. God, look at that bag. He actually is potentially looking at, liquid or equality or all kinds of junk in there. I definitely keep INS. I think we dump some of this drag. Yeah, let's exchange INNO. Also notice that he doesn't have heavy consonants to take advantage of this stuff, but the only really heavy consonant left is the Y. We exchange INNO. Last O, though. This is the last O. What would we possibly want to keep the O for? Although my opponent also has the other O, so it's not actually the last, strictly speaking, but it's the last one that will be available to me, unless I draw it again. Exchange I and O. Great. Look at this. We have possibilities now. We have QI for 33 over here. We have a Q... UINS. Actually, I think Quincy might be good, unless I'm confusing it with something. And that would be an absolutely huge play. A Guti is going to be there. I think I actually play Quincy, unless I have a better thing to do here, which I don't think I will, because you would need an I beside the G. So anyway, he's going to play Agouti. What did I even draw there? I played INNO. I kept INS. So I threw INNO into the bag, and then I drew IQUY. And then my opponent plays Agouti, which means he held a U in his previous rack. And which means that he for sure has an L. Am I counting this correctly? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm missing one. I know he's definitely holding L. In fact, that's the only thing I know at this point. Yeah, that's why I'm missing one in this list here, is because I know he's holding L. And that's all I know. I think we just play Quincy and we win. I'm going to draw 4 tiles. The only reason I wouldn't play the Y is if I want to take advantage of the Y hook at the end of Quinn's... Because this corner is going to be totally closed off otherwise, right? Like, if he doesn't have something like a spectacular bingo, I think keeping the Y to either threaten a play here, if I pick up something like the N, or to dump it here to take advantage of that hook might be an okay idea. I don't know. At the same time, though, I don't want to be stuck with 6 tiles there in the finish. I want to maximize my chances of going out in 2 more plays. Probably 2 more plays, given the remaining pool. I don't know, though, because the Quincy hook can actually do quite a lot to score in either that position or in the top right. If I draw N, this basically gives me a big Y spot. If I play here, I can actually get quite a lot more than that 8 points coming into the next turn. Let's just do Quins. Okay. I think my opponent actually had a disconnection, so we'll see if he gets back in. Also notice that my opponent does have something like Quinn going down here. That is fine. 26 there. 32 there. I think we take the 32, obviously, if that remains open. I think it will remain open. I think my opponent is likely going to be playing Quinn down to the bottom left. I don't think he has to win at this point. So yeah, we have a bunch of things that we can do. We also have something like this, 29 minus 4, that's 25. 32 minus 6 is 26. So we'll be looking at a couple of things here. Tie-in is going to be 29 minus 4. Something like yin is going to be 32 minus 6, keeping EOT. So the question is he going to go out in 2? Because of course TOE does go here quite nicely for 20. But I wouldn't play that first, I think. Oh, yes I would, actually, because he's not going to be able to block Quincy unless he specifically plays to the A. So I'll see what my opponent plays and whether he has an out in 2. That's really the only thing I'll be waiting on at this point. But I do kind of like both of these ideas here. We do still threaten this up top. I think I'd take the points while they're available, to be honest. I mean, this scores better, but to be honest, we don't have a good play with TOE coming out of that if we are going for out in 2. And this is frankly fancier, and that is a serious consideration. Yeah. If Y were still unseen in the bag, actually, having the Y hook go down for my opponent would in fact have been a threat there. But I guess if I had played off the Y, my remaining tiles would have been these 5 over here. I don't think I actually had an out with them, although I'm looking at various locations to see if that's actually the case. Maybe through here, I'm not sure. No, that's Tonier. I don't think there's anything in there other than Tonier, Orient, Norite, nothing that fits. So yeah, he's going to be taking his time here because he's going to be looking for some way to salvage the game. But I think at this point I win. So here's what we're looking at currently. We have a 29 sequence over here, followed by 15 over here, or we have a 26 followed by 20, although that may just be... It's not going to be blocked because he has nothing that goes next to G. So the question is, does he have an out? And if I don't see it, I shouldn't guess. I should actually play off the biggest play I can, which would be this. So 29 and 15, that's going to be 30, sorry, 44. 26 and 20 is going to be 46, so... yeah. I should, in fact, think about this as a situation where my opponent might just go out in a place that I haven't seen yet, though. And so we don't need to totally minimax this. I think it's enough to just threaten it. Yeah, because nothing is going to go down on the right side to block me, I don't think. Let's do it. And I'm comfortably ahead. This should be a win. And so we have a couple of things we can go to here. I think Geos is actually good. That's 9 points still. We are almost certainly just going to have this available for 15 for the out. In terms of anything else we can do, I mean, I'll be able to play. The question is... yeah, he's looking at AN over here. I take this and we take the win. Okay, so went to 1 and 2 today. Could have been a lot worse. Yeah, definitely a lot of avoidable blunders in the first 2 games, but I was pretty happy with this one. And no invalid words left on the board because we did a challenge off the invalid tautology. And we know at that turn that he was keeping the U, and he was playing off 6 tiles there. Let's take a look at the examiner just to see what we're looking at. Yeah, Narcissist, pretty easy to see. It's the only thing there. Let's switch this to analysis. That's the play. Very clear play, I would say. And Vor, continuing to build there. Yeah, he's not going to go for that. Dreadful rack, in fact. But he's going to try to play out of it anyway. Oh, Zalid. I didn't know Zalid. I think it is a process of something to do with a printing press. Let's put it into the chat. Process of printing positive images from film. Typed is possible here. What else were we looking at here? Gloved? Yeah. I think I was kind of happy with gloved. I was not too fond of the double vowel leave, but as you can see, it actually evaluates pretty well relative to some of the other options. I was considering something else, I think. Yeah, I was considering dig down here. As you can see, despite scoring similarly, it actually evaluates to a lot worse. Evaluates as 18, like a whole 6 points down, so this early in the game, I guess, you know, hoping to draw more consonants is not as bad as it looks. The EI leave there. Yeah, the EI leave is actually going to be kind of a +2, +2.5 over my 22 here, which is kind of surprising. Like, you would think that keeping that many vowels is going to get you into trouble, as it kind of does. Okay, typed. Gray. Yeah, he's just very consonant heavy at this point. And just trying to stay ahead. Close off, grab the scoring spot while it's still available before I take it. Not that I could have done much. Look at this, beautiful fit there for E-Day. But yeah, I just play off DEE there, I guess, and it's not going to evaluate as well just simply because it doesn't score much at all. But it's down by about 6 points, so yeah, the leave is treated very similarly. The B doesn't make too much of an impact here. Tempo is good. Pervo. That's a nice hook on perv. I'm trying to remember if that is good on both lexicons, but yeah, it is actually good. Pervo and perv. Let's check the other perv, in fact. The other perv is only in Collins. Look at this. Tabifies. That I did not know. Would have been 101 points, so huge miss there, but I don't think I had seen it before, and that is because that's also exclusive to the Collins Dictionary. Beautiful play, if you can find it. Okay, you've got Vax there. And yeah, definitely nothing on this turn. Look at this, that B is actually going to be evaluating as the second strongest play there, because there are no... Oh, there is a bingo that's available. There's Rebegins. But interestingly enough, B has such a good leave that you're basically expecting to bingo in the next turn. And so it is favored over Rebegins, which opens up everything all the way down to the triple lane in the bottom, and also doesn't score very much. Yeah, not very often that you'd see situations like this where the bingo is really not the best play, positionally or in terms of equity. And look at that, BCing. I mean, BCing would have been really fancy if you can see it. It would have been a hard one to turn down, especially because I am behind. One thing to keep in mind, of course, is that I was behind by pretty much a bingo at this point. And so that would be kind of a motivation to score now while I can, while I have the chance. Let me just take this and define it. So BCing is something that is Hollands only. Beniseed. No relation to aniseed, I don't think. Beniseed is a kind of sesame seed. Ebenist. Interesting. All kinds of stuff here. It's a French cabinet maker. Of course, this opens up gigantic hotspots for both players. I was actually thinking about Tensible, because I saw the possibility of Sensible, but I don't think I knew Tensible very confidently, so... and it is actually good in both lexicons, so that's high probability enough that I should know it for future circumstances. But all of these are actually going to evaluate quite a well worse than just going black. Or black. And yeah, lots of different places you can go there. He is just going to go var in this location, though. And hold on to the X instead of giving me some kind of location to play out of. So I suspected that there was something crazy that would be a 9-letter play from the Z, and there is, in fact, one. And it is actually something I've seen before. I would not have been able to find it with a double blank rack, but that would have been a wonderful play if so. And yeah, so that is Zappione, a rich Italian custard. Also look at those wonderful alternative spellings, including the one with the J that would just score like crazy if you managed to get that down. I don't know how these are doing in terms of lexicon validity, but I think they may in fact all be good. So that's something to keep in mind sometime. If you have the Z and the J, that has to be one of the highest scoring words in Scrabble, in fact. It's definitely up there, not the absolute highest scoring, but it's definitely way up there. I did not see iconizes going down here. I mean, a double blank situation, you mostly just want to avoid burning too much time. So the fact that I saw Sunseer there in a relatively safe position was, I think, just fine. Radix is going to be very interesting play over there in a dangerous position. He's not going to go for that. He's going to go down here instead. And that's going to evaluate a fair bit worse just because of how little it scores, 28. Also, that all vowel leave can't be a lot of fun. But of course, the nice thing about Radix is that it does close off lanes on the right side. Still a very vowel-heavy leave, though, on my opponent's side. That would be the main case against it. Job, I thought, was very clear. There are, in fact, some other things like root and broust. Let's see what these things are. And, yeah. What is this? Frippon. Oh, a frippon. A knave or a scamp. It is, in fact, from French. But a word loaned into English. And thank you for the follow. And yeah, Truthmate, glad to have you here. Also glad to see that you've gotten your stream setup going lately. We're finished with our games for today. I'm just kind of going through the last one here, which was a win, but had some pretty spectacular misses. So yeah, so here I was not considering this because I just don't know it. Let's punch it into defined. It is Scots sowned. Very agricultural to ascertain a ratio of cattle to pasture. Yeah, being an NWL dominant player, that's the kind of stuff that I just definitely wouldn't know, like sixes using an S. But of course it is, I think, going to be a verb. I think it probably should take the ing there. Yeah, it does. A good one to know in case you are looking at something like mowings. I'm trying to remember if mowings actually is good. Yeah, it is in both lexicons. So yeah, dome is going to be fine. I was looking at smaller plays like that. As you can see, the evaluation is in fact quite similar. I was reluctant to play off the E because the E was fairly useful for the remaining lanes, but I also just wanted to score. So that evaluates slightly better, all things being equal. A very nice find of R-hats for my opponent up top. And this is definitely a play off the W turn. I did not see that parallel, actually. I just didn't look at it. I had this sort of weakly scoring idea down here because I wanted to open up potential S hooks on a board that was not really conducive to S endings, particularly with a constant heavy rack. If I had seen the parallel there, though, I think you definitely would favor taking it. Yeah. And then this is the point at which we start really getting into a Q endgame. Just about. Because at this point I'm already thinking about exchanges and also about I-dumps. And yeah, I was considering exchange II. Exchange II evaluates to 22 here. And so I was kind of 11 points over that by playing Zaire, but Zaire commits to not playing a bingo endgame, which, given the closeness of the score, that was a difficult call. It was very much banking on drawing the Q. But also the fact that I was keeping the case S for the hook on Zaire, because I was specifically trying to keep the possibility open of a Q play going down there in the bottom left. So yeah, this was the turn where my opponent got challenged off. This would have blocked a Q play. I think if he had seen this is fantastic gluteus maximus. He probably would have taken this, because at this point, he is thinking about blocking big plays with the case S still unseen. But of course, he's going to try the phony here, and that is pretty much going to cost him the game. Because if he plays off a decent number of tiles here with some of these words, he's got a decent chance of drawing the Q himself from 10 left in the bag. I just want to check this for a lexicon. Okay. Yeah, I guess TWL would only have the EI ending, not the AEI ending. So he's going to try this. I'm going to challenge it off. It was a pretty clear challenge, I think. So here's the rack where I exchanged NNIO. And I'm guessing this is recommended... No, I don't know about that. I mean, at this point, I'm pretty sure on this turn that my opponent, having shown his rack and having tried to block, I know he doesn't have the Q. I'm trying to draw into the Q. I am trying to draw into a big play with the Q, though, and I think that opening up the triple like that would not actually have been a good idea, especially because I know what he's holding, and I know that... Yeah, because he's playing Otalogy plus U, I don't think anything quite fits there, but I kind of wonder if they're... Whoops, sorry. That was meant to be an anagram command. That's obviously not good. Yeah, nothing there, as an 8. But with the Q still unseen, and while I'm trying to draw into it, I think keeping that open for the case S was actually right. So, my exchange here is going to evaluate as 12. It's not going to be very good, but I don't want to dump my S just yet, or close that off. I think the evaluator here is something we shouldn't put too much stock in, because I have the information of knowing 6 of my opponent's 7 tiles, and I know what the Q situation is And so I was actually kind of happy with how I played that, although if I had not drawn to Q and I had picked up UUU or something, you could imagine how this could have backfired. If I picked up UU, this would have been a massive problem. Instead, I just get Quins and Quincy. I deliberately back out of Quincy because I want to leave it as a setup, going into a 6-tile finish. I don't know if that's the right play. I think maybe playing off Quincy and playing greedily is probably better, but given a situation here, I thought I had a pretty good chance to score well on either side and develop a comfortable lead going into the finish. But of course, the evaluator puts Quincy quite a bit higher just because of the value of dumping the Y from your rack. And yeah, of course, as somebody who's already holding the Y, I'm not worried about the Y hook either. Although if my opponent had the Y for a Y hook, that would have been an interesting spot. That would have been difficult for me to deal with. Oh, I totally forgot about the TIYN ending, despite looking at TYIN in this location. It's a very nice pair to know. It is one that I think a longtime Scrabble player recognizes immediately. But it is also the kind of thing that you don't necessarily think about visualizing. And because the YN ending is just so unconventional. Clearly the best play if you can see it. Not something I was thinking about drawing into, but clearly very good if you can see it. YONT, I believe, is Collins only. And of course I see... yeah, actually I think in general I was just trying to go for style because I saw my opponent's rack and saw that the right side would be open. Again, this is one situation where, I mean, while this is clearly the best play, some of what I'm doing here is conditioned by the fact that I know what my opponent cannot do. Okay. And that's pretty much what we're going to see. And that sequence is just going to finish like so. Alright, so that's pretty much it for today. That was our only win out of 3 games. We had just way too many bingo misses and other blunders in the first 2 games. Just a lot of tunnel vision issues as we settled back in. Good to be back on stream, however, after taking the last 2 weeks off for technical issues. We'll just mark this one as done. In the meantime, we're probably going to send you off to a raid. Just going to drop by the bigger Scrabble stream, send you on to Extra Typo, who was in fact here earlier in the day and dropping us a bit of a hello. So we'll send you over there. We'll have a modest raid, and then it is going to be back to Mario Maker for the weekend, followed by our Summer Shorts Independent Game Festival. We're going to play through a pile of indies in a bit of a marathon session over the next 2, possibly 3 weeks, depending on how long everything takes. So we'll send you on a raid, and we'll see you around for more, assuming that my stream is going to be functional instead of running into rampant audio problems like it was when I took everything down at the end of June. Once again, thanks for watching. We'll raid Extra Typo, and fare thee well.